And today, our episode 2 is all about is the housing market
Thank you so much, David, for having me here. I'm so excited to be a part of this with all of you guys.
in California that's actually helping me and helping all of our members.
Leaving California, what does that mean?
But I was asking about what gas prices are you paying?
Fox Business reports that as mortgage rates ease towards 6% and buying power improves, home sales activity is expected to pick up in 2026.
And you like our podcast, please make sure you like and you comment and you share with us with other people because we know
There's so many other things that are contributing.
when people hear the word reset, most of them, they think immediately about 2008.
You know, the best decisions come from understanding your situation.
We're going to get into that. Don't worry. Hey, everybody. Super excited today. This is David Barry. I'm the Leaving California Studios in Las Vegas. I have my partner, my co-host in California and the Leaving California Studios there. And today, our episode 2 is all about is the housing market resetting and what does that actually mean? I mean, let's face it, everywhere you look right now, someone is saying the housing market is crashing, correcting, collapsing, or resetting. And the truth is, most people don't even know what that actually means. We see headlines that makes it sound urgent and dramatic, but very few people are explaining what's actually changing, what's not changing, and how this affects real families and who are trying to make really smart decisions.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Day in California. Thank you so much, David, for having me here. I'm so excited to be a part of this with all of you guys and um, everybody in the community that is interested and curious about leaving California. What does that mean? And our topic today on 2026 and the idea of having a reset. So depending on who you listen to, you can either walk away panicked or completely frozen. You could be still confused. So we're here to slow the conversation down and not predict the market, but actually be here to help explain and put it in plain English so that we're here to support and help educate all of you, and we're all learning together. So,
And by the way, Jen, I didn't even have a chance to introduce you today. I'm just so fired up about this topic, and so many people are talking about it. So, yes, so exciting to have a boots on the ground and to have a person in California that's actually helping me and helping all of our members. So, and I think you actually said that you read an article or something that actually pertains to this topic. So, could you please share?
yeah, absolutely. So, whenever I hear of something, I want to share it, and I hope that this will be helpful to you guys as well. So, Fox Business reports that as mortgage rates ease towards 6% and buying power improves, home sales activity is expected to pick up in 2026, which makes analysts interpret as the start of a housing market reset rather than a rapid rebound. So
Got it.
let's
Got
break
it.
this
By the
down,
way, Jen,
David.
I apologize. And to all of our listeners, I apologize. Jen and I have been kind of playing around with different posts and stuff, and we hit some sore spots. So if you're hearing the dinging in the background, that's all of the comments that I keep getting. I hit a nerve, Jen, and we'll talk about that on another show. But I was asking about what gas prices are you paying? And we also did that post about HOAs. I got over 1,000 comments on that one, Jen. It's been crazy.
That's
So
amazing. And thank you guys for commenting and participating. That's what this community is all about. And that's what David and I are here for, to actually have interaction with you and help you with the things that matter the most to you.
100%. And, and we want to confirm and we want to reassure you guys that we're not just here talking about what we think we should be talking about. We're listening to you. We want to know from you. So please make sure. And if you like our show, and you like our podcast, please make sure you like and you comment and you share with us with other people because we know that stories are the key to helping people. Now, Jen, let's get into it. When people hear the word reset, most of them, they think immediately about 2008. They think prices are about to fall off a cliff. They think people are going to be underwater. They think lending is going to disappear overnight. That's not what's happening. What we're actually seeing right now is we're getting back to normalization. That's an interesting word, right? For several years, the market was moving at unsustainable pace. I know you guys have all heard about this. Ultra low rates, bidding wars, wave contingencies, buyers doing things they would have never done in a normal market. A reset doesn't mean collapse, it means expectations are adjusting.
And, a lot of headlines we see are focusing on just one data point. And what do I mean by that? Like, okay, well, what is this exact interest rate in this city? And there's so many other things that are contributing. So when you want to actually see the full picture, for example, you may see a headline saying like prices are down, but they don't actually explain where or how much or like what does that mean for my specific neighborhood and my specific market. And
Jen,
so,
it's so confusing. I
yeah.
mean, really, like we do this every day, and I feel bad. I truly do feel bad for our California members that, I mean, they just, because you're bombarded every day with all these different stories. It's crazy.
Yeah, and if you guys watched our first episode with Monty, he was explaining a little bit from the lending and the finance side of this. So, all of you understand that real estate is cyclical, and we do go through different cycles. And at this point, when you have maybe some extreme situations that we've had in the past, like David, you mentioned 2008, and then during COVID, and the interest rates are really low, and it was kind of these extremes. Now we're getting into what David said, a normalization. So when you have something that is kind of really calming and coming into like a steady stream as opposed to like big waves in the ocean,
Right. Yeah.
and you can actually feel comforted by this imagery of a steady stream because that means that the economy is going to be steadying out and you're going to have more of a balance between income and housing prices and interest rates and what is required. So all of those things are going to start to balance out, and you are going to have a lot of these happenings in early 2026 and mid 2026. So you're going to start to, and maybe you don't feel it, when you go to the grocery store right away, but in housing market and in real estate, we are going to see this steadying. So I hope that that gives you some comfort because I think David and I are comforted by it.
Jen, you sound like the calm is coming now again, and
Yeah.
it's just it has been chaotic. And by the way, a reset means buyers are becoming more cautious. People are doing their homework, and sellers don't have that ability. This is what I love is sellers don't have the ability to say, you better come in with 10% over asking. Don't ask us to fix anything on that inspection report. So when we talk about normalization, that's what we're talking about. Sellers are realizing they can't price based on yesterday's market. They were
Mhm.
so stuck on thinking about what happened in the past, and that is not the case anymore. And transactions do take a little bit more time, so days on market is going to be a little bit longer. But the Californians, don't panic, right, Jen? Don't panic.
Yeah, what we're seeing with clients sometimes is it's not really distress. I think a lot of people are really just hesitant. They're waiting, they want to know what's happening, what's coming. And I think all of you here watching, it's so smart of you to be educating yourself and learning.
100%.
You're learning as you read other people's messages, you're understanding, and also just the I think most important thing is to actually hear from and talk to experts that are really like you say, David, boots on the ground, working in this space all the time because
Yep. Yeah.
you have so many. things coming at you with social media and all of this stuff that like it's hard to decipher what is true and what is
True.
real.
Yeah.
So talking to an actual expert that is in the market is going to really help you prepare.
And we have so many people. We have so many preferred realtors across the country, and especially in California. And if you're watching this show and you're in Southern California, Jen covers a really big territory in the Los Angeles area, and she could be your expert. She can totally help you guys out. Now, let's dive into this next topic about 2008. People, when you talk about real estate and you say that number 2008, it just makes people cringe. They're so this is a very important distinction, and I want to kind of ease everybody's mind that we're not in 2008, but the problem was structural. Lending standards were broken at that time. People were qualifying for loans that they could not afford. Builders were way overbuilding. When the system cracked, it cracked everywhere at once. Today, lending standards are far tighter, and he's been saying that for a long time. Most homeowners have significant equity, especially in California, and there simply isn't enough housing supply to meet long-term demand.
And it's important to understand the timing and how this is different than 2008 because we as realtors we look back about 3 months on what we call market conditions and the timing is changing. So like you said, David, everybody's so concerned about the past, but it's changing quickly and we're looking at 2026 and people aren't being forced to sell. They're trying to decide when and how to move forward. So that's what we're here to help educate and give you a sense of this timing where when things are settling and this calming of the stream is going to be a really good time. And we're here to help you like put those bullet points together with the Leaving California Blueprint.
Well, this is where it gets really cool, and again, this is why I get so excited when we start the show. Having Jen, having a boots on the ground, having a licensed realtor in California, this is vital, and this is what we were missing. Now, Jen and I, we make a promise to you every week. We're going to promise to bring you stories from all over the country. We're going to help you with those decisions of, where do you go? Because that's one of the top questions. But really, I think everything starts in California. And if you get really good California advice and you talk to an expert like Jen, and by the way, the advice is free. We're just giving this out. We want to help people. So we're going to get right into California. And by the way, this is California, it's its own conversation. We're seeing pricing pressure in certain markets, longer days on market, like I said earlier, and sellers having to adjust their expectation. You're not going to sell the house in 3 days. It's not happening. But we're also seeing cost outside the mortgage pushing people to the edge. Like HOAs, like we talked about that last week. Insurance increases. That's a whole nother show we're going to do on insurance, property taxes, utilities. These are conversations that don't make headlines, but absolutely impact the decision making.
And you know what? Buyers are more cautious. They're asking better questions. They're running numbers more carefully. I have a client right now, actually, she's looking to purchase a townhome. And I think I've gone back and forth with the listing agent maybe 4 times with additional questions. And she's running the numbers and she's looking at all of the comps I'm sending her. And it's really important to understand that because fortunately we all have more access to information, the buyers out there are going to be asking more questions. So the more as a seller you can prepare and have these things implemented, if you want to have an inspection done, if you want to understand what's going on with your property, there's things that you can do in advance to really make your listing and the sale of your property a big success. And
Mm.
so I think David's part in helping you prepare for all of that is going to be really important.
Well, I want to break it down even further because to me, I feel like we have two groups. You have the one group is waiting, hoping things are going to become clearer, which honestly, I don't really know that it's going to get much clearer than this. And then the other group is accelerating their plans because they realize waiting has a cost too. And for a lot of people, this decision isn't really about timing the market, it's about lifestyle, stress, and sustainability.
It really is. And it's interesting because when you are dealing with a very specific situation, all of these additional challenges could come up. I actually have a client right now that my team is working with, and they're selling their home here in Los Angeles. They're buying a home in New York, and
Okay.
there's like an interesting kind of triangle where the sale in New York for these sellers is contingent, okay, and that means that the buyer buying the property has to understand that the seller also is going to be buying a property, right?
Right,
So,
right.
so the sale in Los Angeles is contingent on our sellers buying their property in New York, and now the sellers in New York is contingent on them buying their new property in Georgia. So there's three states involved here. And you really need to make sure that the realtors, the experts involved have their finger on the pulse of all of these steps. It can be really complicated, and the timing kind of has to work out perfectly. And sometimes different states, like in New York, they have real estate attorneys that are involved,
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
and we don't necessarily have that requirement in California, although
Right.
it's always benefit if you want that involved. But there's just layers of things, and when you have a move out of state, you really want to make sure your
For
expert,
sure.
your realtor is really plugged in.
Hmm.
So that is very important to ask those questions up front, like how is this process going to go?
Jen, I told you, I warned Jen and I before we got on the show today. I was warning her and I said, I know there's going to be times when we go off on a tangent. And I'm going to go off on a tangent
Okay.
because we've had a lot of members that they have said, I'm just going to do this on my own. I don't really need a professional. I don't need a realtor to help me sell my house. I don't need a realtor when I move to New York. Are you kidding me? Don't get me started. But Jen, just real quickly, maybe 30 seconds or less, when somebody says, "You know what? I think I'm just going to do this on my own." What do you say? What's your thought on that?
Uh, you know, it's a little bit mind-boggling to me because buying a home or property for most people is going to be the biggest, or at least one of the biggest purchases that they ever have in their lifetime. So why wouldn't you have an expert that does this day in and day out and knows all of the laws, that knows all of the possibilities that could happen?
Hmm.
There's inevitably going to be challenges on either side, whether you're buying or you're selling. And sometimes it's hard to even predict them. There's a title piece. Sometimes you're purchasing a property and then there's something going on with the title and you can't actually get a clear title. So all
Jen,
of
I'm gonna have to stop you there
yeah,
because I know there's no way you can answer
I
that in
know.
30
I
seconds.
could go on
It's
forever.
not fair. That's not a fair question. We'll
Yeah.
probably have to do a show on that. But you know what? And by the way, I just got through saying this. You get this advice for free. Realtors will give you this information. We want to help you. That's what our job is. So I'm gonna wrap up. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I really appreciate you guys listening. And by the way, if you're thinking about making a move in the next 12 to 24 months, the question isn't is the market crashing? The real question is what's changing in my life, my finances, and my stress level?
And the best decisions come from understanding your situation, not just reacting to a headline.
Well, that's going to kind of wrap up the show, but you know what? I always feel like I'm always doing all the talking, and it's so great to have somebody doing at least 50% or more of the talking. So I'm going to let Jen take us out. But I do have one thing that I want to say to everybody. if you're thinking about leaving, we have the Leaving California Blueprint. You're going to be hearing a lot more about that. And I'm sure we're going to start getting messages, Jen, probably starting tonight. Like, what is the California Blueprint? We're going to get into that. Don't worry. But please make sure you like and you comment. You can direct message me. You can direct message Jen. If you have questions, we have answers. We're never going to come across as, oh, so you want to sell your house? You want to say, no, we just want to give you the information. We would love to have the opportunity for you to evaluate us, think if we're a good fit for you. If we're not, we have other realtors that we can recommend. And Jen, I'm going to let you take us out of episode 2. So go ahead. It's all yours.
Thank you, David. Everybody, it's been such a pleasure. We appreciate you joining us, and we're here to educate and to be a part of this community with you. So continue to reach out to us. Let us know what's going on in your mind. And everybody, happy holidays.
Happy holidays. See you later. Bye bye.